Jimmy, have you heard? The Oscars, they're so white.
Whiter than the state of Maine, sir? Because that must be pretty white.
Whiter than Washington, D.C. after this whatever superstorm that just came through that dropped an incredible 3 inches of snow on the ground.
Wow.
They ended up getting like 2 feet, but whatever. Jada Pinkett Smith, who is Will Smith's wife, has started this movement to boycott the Oscars this year because for the second year in a row, the Best Actor and Actress nominations, Best Supporting Actor and Actresses, all of these nominations have come out. There's no black actors on it. There is some legitimacy to her complaint that, okay, 2 years in a row with no black actors. Well, what black movies have there been? Well, there's been Selma. That was a great movie. You have Concussion that was in the running this year. Will Smith did an amazing performance in that. Reportedly, I haven't seen it. You had Straight Outta Compton, biopic about NWA. You had, several good movies. None of these actors were nominated. None of these actresses were nominated for this. So there is the belief that there is some racial prejudice going on. Which, before I go too far into my thoughts, what do you think, Jimmy? Are the Oscars racist?
As two white guys, we are definitely the ones to be handling this issue. I mean that tongue in cheek, of course. But here's the thing, okay? There are a lot of high caliber movies that have been put out that feature African American actors in it. The new Rocky movie, Creed, great movie, directed by a man named Ryan Coogler, who's also he's a black director. It had Michael B. Jordan in it, who's a wonderful performance. Of course, a couple of years ago, you had 7 Years a Slave, really good movie.
12 Years
okay?
a Slave.
12 Years a Slave. I get that. I get 12 Years a Slave and 7 Years in Tibet always mixed up. I don't know what it is. It's all about the years. But okay, so you have that. They came out. You mentioned Selma. You mentioned what was the other one you mentioned?
Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta Compton, the NWA biopic. Okay, so you have these great caliber movies that have come out. The problem with it isn't necessarily that the Oscars is racist. Okay, that's not the case to me. What I think it is you have. I think that this is the wrong issue to be pushing for, because you have movies that should be featuring minority actors that aren't featuring minority actors. I think that is a much larger of a problem. I know this is sidestepping the question a bit, but I feel that is a bigger problem than the Oscars not featuring any black actors being nominated for awards. Okay, you have movies like Aloha that came out that the main character was basically turned into a what's her name? Freaking that played Gwen Stacy. But anyways, they turned into the character was supposed to be Asian. They turned her into a white actor or actress. You have movies that have been coming out that should be featuring minority actors. Movies that are featuring Native Americans. Native Americans aren't casted in those parts. They're given to white people. That seems like a bigger problem, and it's not because that they're trying to be racist. It's because they're trying to attract big-name actors to fill those slots in order to make money at the box office. That's the whole problem. I think that far outweighs whether or not how many white people and how many black people get nominated at the Oscars.
Well, I think you're right on point. First off, to say that you have to nominate at least one black actor in itself is racist, because that would then discredit a deserving actor who may be of another race, not necessarily white, but of any race. That you have to put in this one minority. It's no longer a contest of. It's still a contest of skill to a degree, but not as much as it was before. You're not really the best of the best, because then you start looking at the terrible example, but the college football championship, the way that it used to be run, that you would have a consensus of who the two best teams were, but there would always be that third team that everybody's like, hey, they should have been in there, but they weren't because you only had slots for two. And it's kind of the same concept that you can't really ask for that. Now, what has also happened in this is that Stacey Dash, who is a prominent black female actress, has come out supporting the Oscar committee and saying that to say that they're racist because there's no black actors is racist, and that if we really wanted to have a conversation about racial challenges, the Oscars are not the place to start. You know, if you want to say that the Oscars are racist, well, then you have to explain the BET Awards, and you know how there's no white actors there. And I tend to agree with her. I think she has some very valid points. There's also she goes into to bigger issues like the police overuse of force that we've dealt with for the past year and a half, 2 years now, ever since Ferguson. Do you think she has a point? Is Stacey Dash on this, or is she just missing the point entirely?
Now, let's be clear here. There is a clear distinction between the BET Awards, which is Black Entertainment Television, and the Oscars. The BET Awards makes no it's clearly and obviously for black entertainers, hence the BET part of it. There is no misrepresentation of who is going to be participating in that award ceremony. The Oscars, however, it's not, hey, this is awards for white people. This is awards for all people. And so because of that, that's where the distinction is. And I do believe that there are good black actors and actresses that deserve to be at the Oscars. But the problem isn't necessarily a problem of race. Okay, it's a problem of nepotism. That's the other aspect of this that people don't talk about. The same thing with the Golden Globe Awards. The voting population that votes on these movies have vested interest in who wins the Oscars. A lot of it's rigged, to be honest, whether or not freaking Leonardo DiCaprio was going to get an award or not. Okay, it's all about nepotism. It's all about who you know. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, purple. You're going to get the award if you know the right people. I think that the problem, again, like I said, this is where Stacey Dash, who I believe she's a Fox News contributor, if I'm not mistaken. She was the chick in Clueless who then moved on. Mm-hmm. So I don't always agree with her, but I do think she does have some valid points here. And again, that we're missing the entire issue. It's not about race at the Oscars. What is about race is taking parts that belong to minorities and giving it to white actors and white actresses because they are big names. I think that's a bigger problem.
And you're right. That definitely is a problem. The casting of minority roles with non-minorities. There's actually a list that came out. It was on a news site. I don't remember which one. A couple days ago, of roles recently that should have been played by a minority actor or actress and was not, in order for it to be accurate. I think the problem is that if you look at the top 200 highest rated movies on IMDb over the past 5 years, and you look at how many of those movies featured a strong black lead, out of 200 movies, there's 10 movies in 5 years. You know, and we're counting Creed and 12 Years a Slave and Selma and NWA. What's really sad is that if you take biopics or pics that require a person to play a role to make it authentic, Beast of No Nation comes to mind as the story of a African child growing up through the war-torn regions of Africa, which are all predominantly black. You would need a black child to play that role. So if you take that out, you take out Selma, you take out NWA, and you take out 12 Years a Slave, you're down to six movies. If you take out Quentin Tarantino, because he is the only director that has consistently put strong black characters in his movies, going all the way back to Pulp Fiction. There's two more of those out because Django comes out, and the Hateful Eight comes out, or not the Hateful Eight. There's another one. Two more. So you basically come down to four. Four movies out of 200 in the last 5 years that have been critically acclaimed that were cast with black leads. Not for any other reason than this actor has talent and we're going to pick this actor for this role. We never specified that it had to be black or white. They just came in, they won the audition, this actor gets it. 4 movies. So my argument is that it's not the Oscars that are racist, it's the movie making community that may need to have some serious looks taken at it. Maybe they're not writing scripts for black actors to tell the story of black lives. Maybe they're not, the executives aren't funding scripts that are being wrote to tell the stories about black lives. Maybe there's a whole list of other problems that are there that we're not looking at. But to say that it's the Oscars, to point the blame at them is not fair to them, in my opinion. More importantly, to boycott the Oscars out of this, who cares that you're going to boycott the Oscars? The names are in, the votes are being tallied. Somebody on those lists is going to get the awards. They're not going to add somebody to it because you're not going to show up. Sit at home on your couch and be a bump on a log. Nobody cares. But go do that by yourself. Don't bug us with that shit. If you want to go take on a real issue in a real way, by all means. But boycotting isn't going to solve shit.
I think SNL said it the best. That it was like boycotting a party that you were never invited to just seems a little counterproductive.
I didn't see that, but yes, that's
yeah. And the thing about it is, like you said, it's a problem with the amount of content that's directed and geared towards strong black roles. Look historically, okay? You have instances within the cinematic community or Hollywood community of token black guy, okay? Movies like Scary Movie, stuff like that, blaxploitation films. There's that genre that it's okay to be black and be funny. You can be a Kevin Hart, you can be a Tyler Medea, but the moment that you go and expand beyond that, that's where they have the problem. And it's all about money, and it's all about getting... I mean, you have Will Smith doing movies like After Earth, which was a terrible movie. He's a big-name actor. He did the Concussion movie. Again,
did you know he's in Suicide Squad?
Oh yeah, he's. I
had no idea. I watched the trailer today.
Yeah, I'm actually getting on the Suicide Squad train. I've been kind of iffy about it, but the trailer kind of pulled it together for me. But on that topic, you have high caliber actors like Will Smith that can do dramatic roles, but they're not being cast in those positions, and it's not because of racism. It's because of the ways the industry is set up. Is how it goes down. Okay. Again, what is racist is taking minority characters and making them white in order for money. That right there is racist. But that's not the Oscars. It's not the Oscars' fault. That's like getting mad at a cafeteria line because they don't have cottage cheese when they didn't have cottage cheese to begin with. That it wasn't ordered. It's a problem with the distributor, not the line. Okay.
Right. If you like what you see, be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and our page polypompous.com.